What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is going to be a review for Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6, the final season, the final episode. This is Game of Thrones finale, and did they do it justice? There have been so many people that have been so torn about this. Some people really love it, some people really hate it, some people can't get over certain things. My opinion is that they finished stronger than I thought they were going to. There were a lot of things that people had problem with, but I'm going to try to explain to the best of my ability why I felt like this was a very good closing. So you start out with Tyrion. He is walking through King's Landing, looking at the destruction that Dany had just ravaged all over the Red Keep, King's Landing, just utter destruction. He's looking, of course, for Jaime and Cersei, and he goes down and he finds them and he's pulling the rocks away. And it was actually a very, very good performance from Peter Dinklage. I love the emotion that he conveyed when he finally found his brother and sister dead together under the Red Keep. I thought that was pretty impactful, honestly. I thought it was very good. Tyrion, you see him then go up. Dany is just arrived at the broken down Red Keep in front of all her soldiers. She's thanking the Dothraki and the Unsullied and saying that, it doesn't stop with King's Landing. She's here to liberate the world. Tyrion takes off his hand to the queen pin, throws it, and she says to arrest him. While all this is going on, Jon is in a different area. He runs into Grey Worm, who's about to execute Lannister soldiers. Jon Snow is like, what are you doing? The war is won. And Grey Worm's like, not until all the enemies of Dany are dead. And so there was a standoff there. Jon Snow relents and Grey Worm executes the soldiers. Jon goes to find Dany. And so at the same time that Tyrion is up there and Dany shows up with the dragon to talk to the Unsullied and the Dothraki, Jon shows up as well. He walks up and he's kind of just watching everything happen. So he sees Tyrion get arrested. He goes to visit Tyrion in jail. And Tyrion is trying to talk sense into Jon, saying that Varys was right, I was wrong. You see what Dany is. You need to make a choice. You need to do something about Dany. Jon tries to defend Dany. He tries to defend, being in war and having to make tough decisions. But you can tell he's conflicted. You finally get a scene where Dany, she walks up to the Iron Throne. And of course, a lot of the building around the Iron Throne is destroyed now. And so she touches the armrest of the throne. Jon shows up and they start a conversation about what the right thing is to do, what the next thing is. And Dany is of a mind where she's now decided that she's here to liberate the world. And it doesn't matter what that takes. She is the ultimate authority now. And what she says goes. What she believes is right is right. And it gets very Hitler-esque in the way she starts talking. Jon realizes that this is just who Dany is now, and she's gone off the deep end. And so Dany says that her and Jon can live together, rule together. And so she kisses Jon, he kisses her back, and stabs her in the chest. And at this point, I saw it coming. I knew that Jon was going to kill Dany. And sure as shit, he stabs her. Everybody else is like, oh my god, I kind of saw it coming. But then Drogon could tell what had happened. He shows up. And I really like what happens next because they've explained throughout this entire series that dragons are very intelligent creatures. And so Drogon sees that Dany has been killed. He understands what's going on. He gets super pissed and just lights a fire on the Iron Throne that melts the whole thing. Like the whole war, the whole, cause and effect thing is all about this Iron Throne. And so Drogon just melts it. And then he picks up Dany and flies off. And you cut a little bit, like fast forward a little bit, and you have Grey Worm pulling Tyrion out of jail, and they walk to the dragon pit where the leaders of all the kingdoms are now. And Samwell Tarly is the head of his house. I forget the Prince in the Vale, but he was there. I forget his name. And you've got Arya's there, Sansa's there, Edmund Tully. So, a lot of these people who are now, like I said, they're heads of the households, and they're having a talk with Tyrion, and they're trying to decide what to do next. And the meeting basically turns into, we need to elect a king. We need to elect somebody with the majority vote who we think is going to be a just ruler of everybody. And Tyrion makes the case for Bran. And so we know Bran's not going to have any kids. And that's kind of the idea, is now they can't be a succession anymore. It has to be kings or queens or whatever are voted upon by the officials, the leaders of their lands. And so they're kind of trying to reinvent the wheel in that way. And so they actually do elect Bran is now the king of the Six Kingdoms. I say six because while this meeting was taking place, Sansa spoke up and said, we are not going to bow to another ruler. The North wants to be free. Bran grants that. And so now it is the Six Kingdoms and the North is on their own. And so in a way, people are already kind of getting what they want as far as Bran's elected king. Bran decides to make Tyrion hand to the king. So at the end of the day, Tyrion still winds up being hand to the king. Sansa frees the North, and she becomes queen of the North. So she is the queen now. And Arya decides that she wants to travel west of Westeros, see what the world has to offer. She's always been kind of unique and kind of a loner. And so she decides to travel the world. Now, there was a big discussion about what to do with Jon Snow, because at the end of the day, he killed Dany. Grey Worm wanted him dead. So did Yara Greyjoy. She was at the meeting as well. And she had, devoted to Dany. And so he was told that he is going to be banished to the Night's Watch. And that's his fate, at least on surface in front of everybody else. The point to that was, though, there is no Night's Watch anymore. So Jon, who didn't want the throne, he didn't want anything to do with it, he kind of gets what he wants at the end too. He goes north of the Wall with the Northmen. Tormund's with him. Ghost is there. I think it's Ghost was his dog. And so he gets to pet the dog finally, so people can quit bitching about that. And so in a way, like, it really is the majority of the people here are getting what they actually wanted. You finish out the episode with Tormund and the wildlings going north with Jon. So he's there to live out the rest of his life with the Northmen. And I thought that was very cool. And that's where they cut it. And I honestly liked it. I mean, wasn't perfect for sure, but I really like how they rounded out everything as good as they possibly could have. And at the end of the day, they kind of did fulfill the prophecy of Azor Ahai. Because Jon, who was the one, kills Dany, who was the big tyrant. So, I mean, it does kind of fulfill the prophecy. Which I liked. And people could debate that all day long. But that's how I see it. So, I don't know that they could have closed this out any better. I really don't. People can say what they want, but until they've got something in front of me that is better than what I saw, you're just a bunch of noise, in my opinion. There were problems that I had with this season. It was definitely not a perfect season. Some of the choices had me scratching my head. But it was very entertaining, and it really brought it home for me at the end. I thought the last episode was one of the better episodes of this season. So, that's my opinion. It is what it is. Opinions are going to differ. I liked what they did. So that's where I'm at. At the end of the day, I am going to give this, I feel very strongly about it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I really do feel like they wrapped it up as good as they possibly could have. So that's where I'm at. 9 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. You're definitely going to anyway. I'm going to do a full season review here at some point. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz, Kaged Nation, out.